Hey everyone, it's Spopes. I've been talking a lot recently in the comments here with you guys, with people at church, about the experiences that push myself and others to start reevaluating relationships with THC. What I've seen to be a pretty considerable trend here are stories of either weed turning on people or another drug opening their eyes to the dangers of cannabis and THC. This happened to me, but it's also happened to a lot of you. I've heard stories from long-term cannabis users, people with high tolerances, who've been smoking out of the same half-ounce or ounce bag for weeks, who suddenly had an experience like sleep paralysis or total and complete panic where they thought their heart was going to burst, a feeling of dread, even a feeling of like a presence being in the room with them. And this could be explained by a variety of different theories or approaches, but to me it just confirms what I've been talking about here on the channel for a while. The idea that there's a spiritual entity within cannabis that can turn on you. Just like the One Ring turns on Gollum. It has a will of its own. For me though, cannabis was always nice to me. I guess it really wanted to keep me in its clutches. The One Ring had use for me. But it was actually a man-made drug. A product of industry that originally tried to open my eyes to what weed was doing to me. Tried to show me what was going on here. But to get to that, we have to go a decade back in time. Yeah, it took me a long time to listen, unfortunately. We have to go back to my early 20s. When I basically still thought I was some kind of hotshot teenager. I mainly put my teenage years behind me, but I was still leaping at experiences for mind expansion when they came along. I was hanging out with a weed dealer who had other kinds of dealers go to his house from time to time. And one time this guy shows up. I remember he had the most ludicrous attire on, like a giant fake chain, this like perfectly coiffured haircut, and these like giant, like fake gold rhinestone sunglasses on. I always remember what this guy looked like. But what really drew my attention was the fact that he had tabs of LSD with him that had the 8-pointed star on them, like the one you see in lots of like Navajo and Hopi and other Native American tapestries and sand paintings. It's got 2 points at the top, 2 on each side, 2 points at the bottom. That might not seem like much, but keep in mind, this had been the primary symbol erupting out of my collective, well, my personal unconscious. I don't pretend to own the entire collective unconscious, but had been erupting out of the collective unconscious through me. I'd gotten really into Jungian psychology and symbols, sigils, runes, all that. And I've been drawing the 8-pointed star for a long time, particularly a form that looked a lot like that, but I made it out of 4 Necker cubes all put together. And the Necker cube is an optical illusion where it's a 3-dimensional cube you can either see as being on its top or its bottom. And if you take 4 of those and put them together, it makes an 8-pointed star. I was starting to mature a little bit. It wasn't like my teenage years when just whatever kind of drug anybody had, I would just take it. Just, why not? But for some reason, I felt like shelling out $10 for a tab to this guy. And then that very night, I decided I was going to take it. And I don't know what it was. Maybe it had something to do with the symbol, the 8-pointed star. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it was just the strength of the dose. I guess that's something, it's a mystery you can never really answer. But all I know is that was the strongest LSD experience I had ever had. Almost in a bad way. It was almost too strong. So I won't go into the whole experience here, like everything that happened to me. But just suffice to say, it was strong. What's really important though, is I was up all night, okay? It was so strong that at one point, I have to be honest, it's kind of gross, but I decided to try to purposefully urinate in my own pants just to see what it would feel like. Like, I was so out of it. I was just experimenting with bodily sensations, all right? But in the morning, after it had mainly worn off, I was looking for comfort, a little bit of the norm. And so I went into my drawer where I kept my weed and my pipe, and I pulled it out. And it was such a strong feeling of rejection and revulsion that I felt that it was almost like an electric shock. I just had this extremely strong intuition that I shouldn't use it, that it was going to suppress something in me that was absolutely vital not to be suppressed or repressed, that I was doing something to myself that was wrong and dangerous. And keep in mind, I've been growing my own cannabis for a while now. I was a high tolerance user. I used it socially and on my own. I thought it was my medication. I wasn't just some casual user. I was really in the mix. But something from my experience with LSD told me I shouldn't be doing that. The heightened awareness that remained with me for that entire day. I used it at night, but this was such a strong dose, I guess. The primary effects wore off by around 6 a.m. I took it at around midnight. But I was in a very different state of consciousness for hours and hours after that, until I took a nap at like maybe 2 p.m. And maybe I'll get more into the overall tenor of the experience. Some things happened that have permanently changed the way I see the world on a day-to-day basis. Actual changes to my visual processing in my brain. Maybe brain damage. It was that intense of an experience. But what I want to focus on for the purpose of this video is the fact that I think that there was some sort of spiritual guidance in that LSD experience. Some sort of angelic force moved through the drug to try to make me aware of what I was doing to myself. Spoiler alert, I still smoked the weed. I didn't listen. I decided, well, what could the harm possibly be? The LSD has worn off. It's time for the next thing. And so I did, but when I did, I felt this presence of holiness or sanctification or innocence just leave me. Like a bird flying off your shoulder. The Holy Ghost abandoned me when I made the choice to pick up the pipe anyway. And really, I should have listened then. It shouldn't have taken me 10 years past that point to put the pipe down for good. The pipe should have never evolved into a vape. The dosage should never have gotten as high as it did. So if you've had one of these experiences, whether it's an intense, awful experience with cannabis itself, or whether some other drug tried to show you what cannabis is doing to you. Don't make my mistake. Don't waste 10 years under the influence. Realize that THC is a spiritual trap. There's an entity within it that just wants to feed off your spirit. And you might say, well, Spopes, you came to this realization for another drug. But yeah, not one I was using chronically. One time, it had been probably 4 years since I'd used LSD before. And it wasn't anywhere near the same type of experience. One time versus many times every single day. One time I used something and it tried to open my mind and I didn't listen, so now you should if you have the opportunity. Listen to me. Everything I've been saying. It's bad for you. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's a trap. Listen to Admiral Akbar. It's a trap. Don't do it. LSD tried to tell me that a decade ago. I didn't listen. And just to be clear, I'm not advocating drug use. I don't think you don't need to go use LSD to know that weed's bad for you. I'm telling you that right now. Just don't do it. Save yourself. That was part of my journey. Part of how I came to that realization. Hopefully, so you don't have to do it that way. I hope you guys appreciate this personal story, helping you understand my recovery journey, how it has evolved over the years, decades now really. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Check out the video, it's about to pop up in the corner. Before we go, time for a Spopes TM Anglican prayer. Lord, thank you for trying to show me the way to sobriety for so many years. Thank you for the LSD experience that tried to open my eyes. I pray that you guide other people the way you have guided me, that you make their experiences more peaceful, less intense. I pray that sharing my experience helps others find the sobriety it took me so many years to find. And Lord, I thank you for my channel. I give you all glory for what I'm doing here. Please bless my channel, all who watch it. Please grow it. Please make it a safe haven for people to meet and share their experiences. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. All right, guys, check out the video in the corner for more content. I'll be back in a couple days with a new video. God bless you. See you soon.